Hey, it's Fight, and today I thought, well, today it is December 23rd, so Christmas Eve, and that means that 2017 is rapidly drawing to its close. And since I am a fan of wrestling and I see these made every year and have never done one of my own, why not make my top 10 favourite WWE matches of the year? Now, it's been a pretty good year for wrestling. I mean, you know, Omega and Okada had two of the best wrestling matches I've ever seen. The same man had a stellar encounter with Naito. There was a lot of good wrestling worldwide. Overall in WWE, things were odd. SmackDown was good until April, and then Raw was good from April, but before then, But overall, I don't think this year was as good as 2016, but it was still an okay year. I am Eternal Fight, and these are my top 10 favourite wrestling matches of 2017. So first, I'd like to give a few honourable mentions. Kevin Owens vs Roman Reigns from the Royal Rumble was a very fun spot fest. The Bar vs Ambrose and Rollins from No Mercy was one of the best tag team matches of the year. Same for the Usos vs New Day from Hell in a Cell. The Money in the Bank ladder match was a nice addition to the calendar. The Fatal 5-Way from Extreme Rules was great. And the ladder match between the Authors of Pain and DIY was very special. I would also like to add the TV matches of Roman Reigns vs Seth Rollins from March 29th, and Finn Balor vs Seth Rollins vs The Miz on May 1st from the Monday Night Flagship, along with AJ Styles vs Bray Wyatt vs John Cena February 14th, and John Cena vs Shinsuke Nakamura on August 1st from SmackDown Live. Right, now into the actual list. Preemptive warnings for most of the IWC. Two matches that will be nowhere near this list are Finn Balor vs AJ Styles and Brock Lesnar vs AJ Styles. They're both matches that I think are good offensive displays, but personally don't make the match of the year list for me. I was expecting more from AJ vs Balor, and I think Mr. P1 vs Mr. I Will Eat Your Fucking Parents wrapped up before it could completely get started. Sorry, just my opinion. Number 10, AJ Styles vs Shane McMahon, WrestleMania. A match that proved that AJ Styles can get the best match on the biggest show of the year out of you, even if you throw legit punches in an illegitimate sport as often as Vince McMahon dream books Braun Strowman vs Kevin Nash in a cupboard as he sobs himself to sleep. This match was everything you'd want and nothing you'd expect. The premise was of a pure wrestling match, but the contest finally got a chance to bare its proverbial teeth the moment the ref was knocked out and Shane started twatting people with garbage cans. Whilst of course Styles carried it, there is a match credit of a similar nature due to Shane O'Mac, as he effectively told the story of a man genuinely trying to do everything he can to get the job done. I'm still pissed that Shane goddamn McMahon kicked out of the Styles clash, but out of it what? We got a great match, an AJ face turn, a disappointing feud with Kevin Owens, a disappointing feud with Baron Corbin, a disappointing feud with Jinder Mahal. Look, it's not been an especially good year for SmackDown, okay? But this list is about matches, and this one, with all things said, is a belter. Number 9, Aleister Black vs the Velveteen Dream, NXT TakeOver WarGames. If you told me when this year began that a fellow named the Velveteen Dream, who wears eccentric ring gear, acts flamboyantly, and basically has a gimmick of gay black man, would be in one of the best wrestling matches of this past 365 days, well, I'd probably put the duct tape back on your mouth and lock the basement door again. The match that I made countless jokes about, that was a subject of so much ridicule throughout the community, was actually an acrobatic storytelling gem. The amount of mental chess play between these two was unparalleled. The chemistry was spectacular to watch live, as they possessed this tangible energy which helped the two feed off of each other in an organic display of just why we love wrestling. Leathered up stony-faced badass versus homosexual rainbow enthusiast, from the two hitting signature poses, crawling all over each other, and the blissfully executed post-match theatrics, this is one of the most different matches I've seen in years, and I absolutely loved it. Number 8, Aleister Black vs Hideo Itami, NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3. Aleister Black is a genuine phenomenon in NXT. He somehow manages to put on incredible matches and nearly kick people's heads off every time he does it, but simultaneously seems like he couldn't give a shit, and this is a prime example. There are only a handful of matches I have seen that I can say are stiffer than this one, Omega vs Okada and Ibushi vs Alexander all come to mind, but this match is a perfect blend of strikes, grappling, and character work. With ITAMI being the NXT veteran back to prove his worth, and newcomer Kickhead McBlackmass being undefeated, there was a genuine tension game as to what would happen. Was ITAMI on the road of redemption back to an NXT title opportunity, or was Black just going to continue to be unstoppable? What ensued was 12 minutes and 40 seconds of loud slaps and technical strategy, or as I like to call it, a beautifully badass bountiful bunch of bell-to-bell blisteringly brutal bloke-bashing bliss. Number 7, AJ Styles vs Bray Wyatt vs The Miz vs Dean Ambrose vs John Cena vs Baron Corbin Elimination Chamber match. For the past 5 or so years, the Elimination Chamber has really flatlined in terms of hype and impact, due in no small part to a substantial drop-off in match quality and memorability. Also, the Intercontinental Chamber from 2015's show happened, and that was a sad, sad day. However, this match was a testament as to why the Elimination Chamber is where Shawn Michaels won his first WWE Championship after his 4-year hiatus from the then WWF. Nobody had a bad showing, which means something when we're discussing a Baron Corbin match. Simply put, this match was carnage. Ambrose rolling up Corbin just to get thrown through the pod glass, John Cena hitting a diving crossbody off of one of the pods, Ambrose going fuck it and resorting to simply smashing AJ's head against a sheet of glass, a Tower of Doom choking suplex from Bray Wyatt, The Miz dashing in and eliminating Ambrose, Cena pinned clean, Bray and AJ's 10-minute slugfest, and of course, a catching Sister Abigail to put away the best wrestler alive today for Bray Wyatt's first ever WWE Championship. I mean, there weren't just spots either, obviously. The pacing was super clean, as there was always something compelling enough between spots to keep you from getting bored. Character work was on point, with Miz and Wyatt picking the bones like the heels they are, and AJ and Cena being portrayed as the risk takers. Efficient, smart, and awesome, this match was everything an Elimination Chamber match should be and more. Number 6, Asuka vs Ember Moon. NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3. This match is one that took me a lot of reflection to fully appreciate. The athletes are arguably the two best in their division. They had a pretty good match a couple of takeovers prior, so hopes were pretty high for an even better match at the biggest takeover of the year, and it definitely was. My friend and I remembered it being the best match of the night, but I really didn't remember a whole lot, so I rewatched it, and afterwards, not only was it the match of the night, but probably the best women's match of the year. Whilst this is repeating the points I made in the ITAMI Black match, it really could have gone either way. Asuka was the most destructive force in wrestling, and Ember Moon the up-and-comer just on the brink of stardom, and with all the records she'd broken and stats she'd made, it would seem Asuka was on her way out of NXT, which we now know she was, but not in the way we expected. The two tore the house down, managing to create audible excitement in a face-versus-face confrontation that was just constantly building and building. Genuinely, when Asuka got up her shoulder after the eclipse, it was one of the best kickouts of the year. Both women left everything in the ring in a goddamn indicting statement to show why we don't need the 4 horsewomen to have a dynamic NXT women's division. Number 5, Kevin Owens vs Shane McMahon, Hell in a Cell. Going into this match, what we knew was that one of the best wrestlers and entertainers in the world was going to be in a Hell in a Cell match with the same man that jumped 25 feet from a scaffolding structure, who was slightly angered by the fact that, the other man headbutted his 72-year-old father, then kicked him in the face and jumped on top of him. Considering that it's a 40-minute Shane McMahon match, I think it's fair to say that it was fairly fucking exemplary. Finally, we got a truly great Hell in a Cell match, and to be honest, between the angle that precedes it and the match itself, this is a bell-to-bell encounter that feels like it'd probably be better suited to the Attitude Era. Some of this match is still, even with hindsight, so tense that it's hard to watch. The 10-minute segment where the two battled atop the structure was uncomfortably wince-inducing, especially that moment where Owens powerbombed Shane directly in the center of the roof. Of course, Mr. Cha-Ching Ching Bling Bling Dollar Dollar Man jumping nearly 20 feet and Sami Zayn's heel turn are going to be what is remembered from this match. The rest of it was still a pure grueling rivalry match that keeps you on the edge of your seat and should be remembered in the same way. Number 4, Samoa Joe vs Brock Lesnar vs Braun Strowman vs Roman Reigns SummerSlam. The 4 biggest dudes on the Monday Night Raw roster all put together in one ring for 20 minutes? Yes please, that's a match I'd like to take out to a fancy dinner. This was basically the saving grace of a fairly crap show, but it really was a saving grace. Joe locking Lesnar in the Coquina Clutch straight out of the gate, Braun going mental, Lesnar going mental, Reigns getting killed, Lesnar being speared through a barricade, Lesnar being put through an announce table, Lesnar having an announce table dumped on his face, everyone hitting their big moves, and Roman eating the pin. I was a very very happy boy. Whilst Lesnar's way too long being taken away because he's going to start pissing blood if we don't bit did mess up the pacing a bit, this will still be remembered as one of the best monster matchups for quite a while, as it so deserves. Number 3, The Revival vs #DIY vs the Authors of Pain, NXT TakeOver Orlando. Tag team wrestling as of late has entered quite the revolution, whether it was Sanity being one of the best things in NXT, #DIY and The Revival tearing up in a couple of Match of the Year candidates in 2016, the Usos and the New Day putting the entire SmackDown Live roster on notice for the past 6 months, or the Shield getting the most casual fan pop since 2009 John Cena, tag team matches have been overall exceptional for quite a while. So it should come as no surprise that #DIY and The Revival, or the best tag team in the world, yeah, you heard me Young Bucks, I'll bite you, had a bloody great big pissing wanker brilliant match at this year's TakeOver Orlando show. In what was easily the match of the event, the roof was raised in some of the slappiest, unadulterated athleticism of the calendar year. Not only were the moves, pacing, spots, character work and work rate driven up to 11, but the goddamn storytelling, it was beautiful. It got to the point where the two former rivals in #DIY and The Revival realised that the only way they could take down the seemingly impenetrable force of Aiko and Razor was to team up, and by God they did. 100 Enzugiris and 700 uppercuts later, they found out that their partnership epiphany was too little too late, as AOP had their hands raised in victory. Whilst not quite as good as their 2 out 3 falls classic from TakeOver Toronto, and the choice of eliminating #DIY first creating an odd heel versus heel dynamic that never really worked, the match is still tackle-tremblingly stellar and is the 3rd best match of this year. Number 2, I love it, we've got a double special, Michael. So there are 2 matches that I think are both deserving of this spot, and I just can't decide between them. So I'm going to say what they are and then describe them in slightly more vivid detail. The matches are AJ Styles vs John Cena from the Royal Rumble, and the Wargames match from NXT TakeOver Wargames. One is a dynamic and bold flurry of technical offense and contrasting styles enveloped in a 25-minute kick-out heavy grudge match format, and the other is a violent, weapon-heavy, crowd-popping, adrenaline-filled lightning bolt fight where a nearly 7-foot bat bloke was German suplex through 2 tables off of the top turnbuckle. I can't compare both at the same time, so I'll do them individually. AJ Styles vs John Cena was a format we already knew worked, so it's no surprise Vinnie McIntosh wanted to do it again, this time with the WWE Championship on the line and, of course, Cena coming out on top. Though for me not as good as their SummerSlam Classic 6 months previous, there was still an incredible showing from both men, featuring callbacks to their first 2 matches, booking AJ even stronger than last time, a billion kickouts, and all the counters you could ask for. I can get sick of this kick-out heavy format by which most John Cena matches follow, however this just made me remember why they work so well in the first place. The Undisputed Era vs Sanity vs the Authors of Pain and Roderick Strong is going to be called a spot fest by many, but honestly, it's so much more than that. With the Wargame stipulation brought back, this match symbolised who was the best faction in NXT and probably of all time, with an underlying tint of old and new traditions meshing to create something truly fantastic. It was fantastic. Dave Meltzer went so far as to call this match tremendous, and I just can't disagree. The sheer brutality, smart booking and sportsmanship on display here created for me the absolute perfect weapon-based Megalodon multi-man metal mayhem match. Characters were refined, blood was shed, and it reached the same levels of good as the Revival vs #DIY from TakeOver Toronto nearly a year prior, to the point at which me and my friend were literally laughing because the match was so goddamn good when we watched it live. And number 1, Tyler Bate vs Pete Dunne, NXT TakeOver Chicago. It just was. It was the best match of 2017. Pete Dunne is one of my favourite wrestlers in the world right now, and Tyler Bate is so over that his moustache oozes more charisma than Bray Wyatt. Think about it. There are probably matches with better storytelling and bigger build, but the rivalry before, the laser-focused kicks, harmonious blends of style and character progression, it's just so good. Also, another thing, probably the main reason I'm putting it at number 1, the sequences. Not one match this year has more 10 to 30 second fragments that I can remember more vividly because it's this damn special. Bate's spiral tap, the shooting star press into the triangle choke, the bitter end into the DDT, Dunne's catching forearm, a stiff exchange leading to 20-year-old Tyler's rebounding clobber of the Bruiserweight. It's just, it's exceptional. And funnily enough, it's also my match of the year for 2017. Might I just point out that if my voice did sound weird in this video, I apologise. I am sick, I've got a sore throat, but I'm working on it. Anyways, I do hope you enjoyed the video regardless. Please smash a like, as I have worked my bollocks off making this thing, and I would super appreciate it. Anyway, I have been Eternal Fight. I appreciate that you watched this video. Smash a like, subscribe, do as ever you wish, and I guess I will see you in the next video I make. Until the next time the camera's rolling, I've been Eternal Fight, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.